Alright, what's up guys? So we're back again. Day 2 of a video straight in a row. You guys are going to start wondering why the hell that's happening. But I don't know if you remember a while ago we had this O2 Envoy in here and we did the rear springs. Still holding pretty good. But today it has problems. It needs an alternator. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to replace the alternator in this thing, which is way down in yonder hole. So we'll get that out of there. I'm going to set you guys up, we'll time lapse it, and we'll come back and show you how easy it was and explain some things. Alright, so here's what you're going to be dealing with when you do an alternator on a Trailblazer, an Envoy, a Saab Blazer, which is the Saab 97X. All the same things, the Chevy Colorados, the Hummer H3s, all that stuff. There's a bracket, goes right here. There's 3 bolts in that bracket. There are 2 bolts. I'm going to get a little light on there. There's 2 bolts, one right here, and there's one that's tucked way down deep in here. It's a pain in the ass to get to, but it's doable. And then for the alternator to come out, you've got a bolt here in the front. You have one underneath this wiring harness, and then there's one way down underneath the alternator that you guys are not going to be able to see, and I can't even see it either. But a little trick that I use is you actually pick up your flashlight that you just dropped in the hole. Is take this line right here, which is an AC line, and push down on it. If you push down on it, it gives you better access to that bolt and you can get a ratcheting wrench on it to get it out. And then take this upper AC line and push back on that, and it'll give you all the room you need to get this alternator out. Now you won't be able to get any of the connections loose until you pull the alternator away from the engine block, so be prepared for that. You'll have to pull the alternator out, then pull the connections, then pull the alternator. So here we go. Alright, so now we're going to get that pesky bolt that's underneath there out. And like I said, you can usually get a ratcheting wrench on it once you move the hoses out of the way. I think we got it. Yeah, there it is. It helps to have a flexible ratcheting wrench so you can get it around the fan, because you don't really have a whole lot of room to swing this thing in here. You can kind of spin the fan around, or even stick the wrench in the fan blades and spin the fan as the wrench goes up and down, but not the worst thing in the world, but also not the easiest. And for some reason these bolts are like 3.5 miles long. There's one of the top ones. Alright, one thing I forgot to tell you guys, before you go ahead and do this, just disconnect the negative terminal in the battery. This battery's stone dead, that's why I didn't think about it. But good idea just to change that out, or take that out, so you don't short anything out. And bolt number 3. Alright, now we can move this thing forward, tip it a little bit, and start disconnecting wires. Now this thing's a little bit of a pain in the ass to get out, this clip, because you kind of got to get something behind it, so I tend to use just a little pick. And then you can flip the connector and it'll pop off. There we go. Got that. Now all we got to do is tip the alternator over and get the actual main power cable off, which has a 10mm nut on it. All right, now that that's off, should be able to wiggle this thing up through here. Again, just push this hose back. Not gonna hurt anything, and then kind of try to sneak it up through. A little bit of a pain in the ass at this point, but it'll go. And there it is. She's out. Alright guys, so we got the new one here, and we are literally just going to do the exact opposite of what we just did. So we're going to try to shove it down in here, hopefully, and then once it's in there you can kind of rotate it around and mess with it to get it to fit better or easier. There we go. That'll tip it up. Connect our main power cable. Alright guys, now one word of advice. Do not, by any means, tighten the shit out of this cable, because you will literally strip and destroy the electronics inside this alternator. So what you want to do is just make sure that it is tight enough to where this cable is not going to move, which you'll feel it. Once it bottoms out, give it just a tiny little snug turn and you're done. Don't go crazy, don't go monkeying it down and wrenching the shit out of it, because you're gonna break it. Alright, now we'll plug the other plug in, and then we're literally just going to bolt it back in like we unbolted it before. So I'm gonna bolt this back in, get the belt back on, and I'll bring you guys back when that's done. Well, there you have it. Brand new alternator is in, belts back on, brackets back in, AC lines are secured again. So now what we're going to do, a little tip for you guys. Before we reconnect the battery, we're actually going to charge it. Whenever you do an alternator job, and whether it's on a vehicle where the battery is sort of dead or not dead or whatever, if the alternator has failed, it usually means the battery's dead. Now the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to try to charge a completely dead battery with a brand new alternator, because it's going to overheat the alternator and usually cause the new alternator either to fail sooner or to fail almost immediately. So one thing you want to do is, if the battery is dead, either replace it, or if you have the means to, charge it before you actually start the vehicle. So we're going to charge it now, and then we're going to come back, start it, make sure we have charging voltage, and we'll be good. Well, everything is back in, back together, belts back on, batteries charged, so let's see what we get on our initial startup. And look at that. Voltage came right up to 14.5. Our alternator is good. So yeah guys, that's a quick little, here you go, here's how you do an alternator on a Trailblazer, Envoy, Colorado, Canyon, Hummer H3. Anything that's got this basic motor in it is going to have basically the same exact way about doing the alternator. So pretty quick job. If you know what you're doing, you can do it in under an hour. But yeah, so there it is. All right, guys, enjoy, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good night.